The media love any story to be salacious and sensational, and they sensationalize everything. You don't know my side of the story, and we'll leave it as that for now.
A prison guard admits to having sex with an inmate she was supposed to be guarding. Linda De Sousa Abreu faces a long time behind bars. I'll tell you how long and what she's said about the scandal online. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. That video of Linda De Sousa Abreu having sex with an inmate spread online quickly. It was shocking. The 4-minute video was recorded in May by another inmate inside HMP Wandsworth Prison in South London. It, of course, went viral. This was an actual prison guard who was trusted to guard inmates having sex while another inmate watched and recorded. He was basically standing watch. I'll tell you what that prisoner who was recording actually said on the video coming up later. The Daily Mail reported that the man De Sousa Abreu was having sex with was Linton Wyrick, who was doing time for breaking into a home. She was charged in July with misconduct in public office. It is, after all, illegal for a prison guard to have sex with an inmate. Photos showed her shielding her face from the cameras when she left court after making her initial appearance on the charge. After that sex video went viral, De Sousa Abreu posted a video on Instagram. She said she wanted to clarify some things.
Hello once again, Instagram. I hope you can appreciate this is going to be a very awkward and uncomfortable conversation for me to have. I just thought I really needed to come on here and clarify a lot of things. First thing being, there has been a lot, and I mean a lot, a tremendous amount of fake profiles of me that have been monetizing off of my misfortune, this scandal that the entire world has somehow managed to be involved in. I have not monetized one bit at all. This is my only social media platform, and I only just activated it again. So if you do come across fake profiles of me asking for money, please don't fall for it.
And that was the first thing De Sousa Abreu said. She wanted people to be aware of people impersonating her and trying to cash in. Then she said she had a message for OnlyFans creators who were reenacting what she did on the site.
On the topic of impersonation, I thought it very important for me to address this very distasteful subject of OnlyFans creators impersonating and pretending to be me and recreating the scenario of said scandal, which I am involved in. Very, very distasteful for you to monetize or advertise yourselves as me for OF content. It does interfere with my trial, but furthermore, it is incredibly distasteful. Please, if you are an OF creator, refrain from tagging said prison. We all know the name of the prison. Please refrain from tagging HMP Wandsworth on your stupid videos. There are other jails in the world. You don't have to pretend to be me. It's very distasteful.
The Daily Mail reported earlier this week that a family member of De Sousa Abreu's told the outlet she was looking for fame. The site also reported that De Sousa Abreu and her husband appeared on a British TV show last year where people took part in threesomes and orgies. She was quoted as saying on the show, "Monogamy is a social construct that I think needs to be dismantled. Opening up our relationship has allowed us to form a deeper connection with each other." Now this week, De Sousa Abreu has pleaded guilty to misconduct in public office. She didn't hide her face when she appeared in court this time. She held her head high, and she was dressed for the occasion. De Sousa Abreu faces a possible life sentence when she's sentenced later this year. The BBC reported that barrister Teta Turkson of the Crown Prosecution Services said this was a shocking breach of the public's trust. De Sousa was clearly an enthusiastic participant who wrongly thought she would avoid responsibility. Turkson added that De Sousa had no option but to plead guilty because of the case against her and because it was so strong. Unfortunately, the world is not always a safe place, and when accidents happen, you may need an attorney that's going to fight for you and stand up for your rights. That's why I want to tell you about Morgan & Morgan, a sponsor of Crime Fix. Morgan & Morgan has more than 1,000 attorneys that you may want in your corner because they are America's largest injury law firm, and for a good reason. They win a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean they win a lot. Morgan & Morgan has won several multi-million-dollar verdicts and settlements recently for victims who were in life-altering car crashes, all of which were considerably higher than the highest insurance company offer. Starting a claim takes 8 clicks or less, and it can all be done from your smartphone. And there are no upfront fees. You only pay Morgan & Morgan if you win. So if you're injured, you can easily start a claim in 8 clicks or less at forthepeople.com/crimefix. I want to bring in Percy Pitzer. He is a retired federal prison warden. He also owns a company that audits prisons. Percy, thanks so much for joining me. This case is just totally unbelievable. It blows my mind that somebody would do something like this. How common is it, in your view, that prison guards are having sex with inmates?
Well, it happens more lately than prior. I think because a lot of it is our prisons are understaffed and overpopulated. And until we take a look at maybe alternatives to incarceration, it'll slow back down to where it used to be. You know, it happens, and it's happened for many, many years, but not at the level that it's happening today.
Do you think we're knowing or finding out more about it these days, or we know about it more just because of the internet, the access to more information, and the fact that, I mean, in this case, it's just totally unbelievable that somebody would, a female guard or any guard for that matter, would have sex with somebody and then tape it?
Well, you know, I wonder if she knew it was being taped, because what staff don't realize is when an inmate compromises you, you are then become a trophy. He has to tell somebody because he or she is so excited that they compromise the staff, and they can't hardly ever get away with it because they will tell somebody because of their pride in compromising a staff member. You know, I think the only way to slow it down is constantly training, and when it happens, hold people accountable, and then publicize the accountability.
Well, she's going to be held accountable. She's pleaded guilty to that misconduct in public office charge, and she faces the possibility of life in prison. And I think that they're really looking to make an example out of her. That Wandsworth prison has had some issues in the past and has had some bad press. They had like an inmate escape, that, you know, that type of thing happens. But this makes them look really bad. And as far as her knowing whether she was going to be taped, I mean, I think she knew full well what was going on. She posted this video on Instagram where she's almost like chastising people for, you know, oh, I didn't make money off of this. And, you know, this thing goes viral on the internet. But I mean, it's very interesting to me that she gets self-righteous about this on Instagram because she's saying other people then copied what she did and monetized it, but she's claiming she didn't make money off of it. So I think there's something kind of not quite right going on up in her head.
Well, I'll tell you what she did, and then after what she did, is unexplainable. Why someone would do that to start with, and should be held accountable, and should be made an example with the other staff to know the consequences of misconduct of this nature, because it jeopardizes the safety and security of both staff and inmates. Because if she would do that, what else would she do? Has she brought anything in, any contraband, any drugs, any weapons? Because that's normally the next step once you compromise a staff member.
In your experience, have you ever had to deal with a situation like this? Obviously not, you know, the videotaping and putting it up on OnlyFans part of it, but in your career, did you have situations where inmates were having sex with prison guards?
Yes, I did. You know, and I had one case that I actually kind of felt sorry for, because this lady got involved with an inmate. And when I called her in the office, I said, "Why in the world did you do that?" And her explanation was, "Well, when I go home, my husband is mean to me. And when I come to work, the inmates are very kind to me." And, you know, I'm thinking in my mind, of course they're going to be kind to you because they're looking for something. I mean, that's the only one that I ever kind of felt bad about, that she even got involved. But there's others. They're so blatant, and you know, it's like selling drugs. I sell them one time, and God, I made a good profit. I sell them two, and I made a bigger profit. I sell them 3 times and then I get caught. You always get caught. Very seldom do you commit a crime and not get caught.
You brought up a really good point earlier about, maybe there's low staffing. When there's low staffing, and I think we see this in policing too, when there's an increased demand for a position and not enough applicants, the standards are lowered. Maybe the vetting process wasn't good enough. I mean, this woman, she was on a Channel 4 documentary or TV show rather last year. And she was on there with her husband. She and her husband, I guess, are openly swingers. And she's on there talking about how monogamy is a social construct. And in this show, it's this like racy sexual show where people do threesomes and orgies and all kinds of stuff. And one of her family members told the Daily Mail that she did this because she's been seeking fame. She's got racy photos of herself posted all over social media. My God, like what is going on that the prison system's like, yeah, that would be a good hire. Are they just not looking into these people closely enough?
Well, once it's identified, I would suspect they should get rid of her. Because if she's capable of doing that, what else is she capable of? And I would have tremendous concerns over that. And if it's on social media and if it's on TV, I mean, somebody has to know about it.
Now, the man she has now admitted to having sex with was in there for burglary. But the man that was recording the video, and there's that old saying, Percy, about the inmates running the asylum. And I've actually talked to a lot of people about prisons and about how, the inmates in some states, at least, basically run the prisons. I mean, they've got their little gangs that are in there and stuff like that. And this cellmate on the videotape is heard saying, the guy who's actually holding the phone and recording it, "This is how we live at Wandsworth, bruh. Yeah." So he's saying this is the way we do it. So this guy, unless he's just being a braggart and boasting and being, on tape for the audience, he's saying this is what we do here. Kind of disgusting and degrading, but this woman put herself in this position. Is this true about prisons? Do the inmates practically just run the place?
It's probably not true. I've never seen it. I always had good relationships with the staff. I mean, I was totally 100% available to the staff and inmates. I'd walk the compound by myself because people would talk to me more if I did not have an entourage with me. And that's how I found out what was going on in the institution. And plus, when I'd ask questions, people wouldn't know if I already knew the answer or not. Because I was out there by myself, I was talking to inmates. Hell, I'd sit down at a picnic table and shoot the breeze with them. I'd do the same with staff. And you become aware of what's going on in your own facility. With this lady, I mean, if she videotaped it, she put it on social media. I mean, somebody had to be aware. I mean, she should have been removed from that institution immediately.
Well, she was. They gave her the boot really fast. They got her out of there. But it was just the fact that somebody with really bad judgment like that was even in this position. And it makes you wonder, I'm sure they're looking into other things right now, but it makes you wonder what happened, if anything else happened leading up to this event, and what they'll find if they start looking into her a little deeper and a little further.
Yeah, but my point is she was expressing herself on social media prior to this happening. So that's a pretty strong indication that there's probably something else going on.
Yeah.
And she should have probably been removed before this incident even happened.
Right.
Because, if you don't have integrity, if you don't have credibility, these things happen. And it's my job, or was my job, as a warden, to identify this stuff and provide a safe and secure environment for both staff and inmates.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard telling if this lady had brought in contraband, drugs, cigarettes, weapons, assisting, in whatever. And it's very detrimental to the security and safe operation of a prison to have people working there with this caliber. I was surprised in the article that this is put off until November or something, the sentencing, I guess. That's a long time to wait. I mean, she could flee the country. I mean, probably already had, unless they took her passport.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that because that's how they caught her. She called into the prison and said, I'm not coming to work. And then she was nabbed at the airport trying to leave the country. So that's when she was arrested. So interesting point that you bring up there. And she will be sentenced in November. And I anticipate they will give her a pretty harsh sentence. I don't know if she'll get the life sentence because she did plead guilty, but I think she will get a pretty tough sentence. How about you, Percy?
I think she will, but I think also common sense has to prevail. I think a life sentence would be pretty close to being ridiculous.
We're going to keep a close eye on it and see what she gets in November. Thank you so much, Percy.
I'll always be available to you.
And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. I'll see you back here next time.